Thank you for joining us as we continue on our voyage from Lisbon, Portugal to Copenhagen, Denmark, aboard the Silver Sea, Silver Spirit. This is part 6 of 8, and in this part we will be visiting the ports of Dublin, Ireland, Greenock, Scotland, a day at sea, and Stornoway on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. Well, let's get started with Dublin, Ireland. But before we get to Dublin, we had to anchor in the deep-water port of Dunleary. Yes, what you see there is Dunleary. And how do I know that it's pronounced Dunleary? Well, the friendly locals make sure you know how to pronounce the name of their beautiful city. Today's excursion was once more provided by our travel agent, Palvis Travel, through the Travel Leaders Network and Distinctive Voyages. This was to be a 6-hour excursion with lunch included. There was a 45-minute delay getting to shore in our excursion because of all things tender boat mechanical issues, but more on that later. We started our excursion with a short bus ride, only about 8 miles, from the port of Dunleary to the world-famous Guinness Storehouse experience at the St. James Gate Brewery in Dublin. Despite it being a rainy day, we were fortunate that the first part of our excursion was indoors and high and dry at the Guinness experience. It started with a wonderful collection of Guinness bottles used through the years. And as you start ascending the different floors, you begin to learn about what it takes to make a Guinness. Only 4 simple ingredients: water, barley, hops, and yeast, all put together in the very famous Guinness style. So what makes a Guinness a Guinness? Well, if you were to believe everything that we were shown here, it was those 4 simple ingredients and the way they are processed and put together. Just look at this very interesting display on how the roasting of barley changes the color and, according to Guinness, the flavor of the beer. I will say this about the rest of our visit: it was interesting, if a bit chaotic, informative, if a bit overcrowded, and most certainly as much or more than I ever wanted to know about a beer that I usually do not drink. But as the tour progressed and we moved higher, ever higher, we found that Guinness does indeed go to extraordinary lengths to bring you what is a truly one-of-a-kind, whether you like it or not, beer. Wasn't just the ingredients or the making of the beer that we found, but the very interesting advertising programs that Guinness has used over the years to promote its product. From the idea that it's always Guinness time somewhere, to the dubious idea that drinking Guinness will make you stronger, happier, and wiser. Now, supposedly, the atrium of the Guinness Storehouse is shaped like a glass that a pint of Guinness would be served in. Personally, I didn't quite see that, but that's the story. And after ascending all 7 floors of the Storehouse experience, you eventually make your way to, well, the bar. Now, I turned in my tickets and I reached for the Guinness, only to be told by the bartender, no, not yet. So I patiently waited and found that, yes, indeed, there is a process even to making a pint of Guinness. And the bartender had a very artistic flair. And while not the easiest thing to do, we eventually found a pair of seats where we could sit and enjoy the view and our Guinness. Now, if Guinness is not your thing, there are other beers available, all made by Guinness, of course, as well as juices if you're under 18. From the Sky Bar area, we descended back to the first floor and perused the store, where there is, of course, the merch. Everything from keychains to clothing, Guinness chocolate to mugs. If the Guinness name can fit on it, it is there for purchase. And the cost for all this Guinnessness? 26 euros, or about $28 US for adults, and 10 euros for children. Our admission was, of course, covered as part of our excursion. Next stop, Howth. Howth is a village with a population of about 3,400 that is a suburb of Dublin. The area has been settled for almost 3,000 years and is now a small but affluent suburb of Dublin, masquerading as a fishing village. We were here for lunch and hopefully a little bit of touring, and stopped at McNeil's of Howth, a rather large pub located in the central part of Howth. As on the other distinctive voyages excursion, the food was, well, rather good. Started off with a pea soup, delicious and creamy. She had fish and chips that she claimed were quite good, and I had a bit of pub grub in the form of a hamburger. But this was no ordinary hamburger. This was a hamburger done right. Well, soon enough, it was time to start our tour of Howth. Oh, wait a minute. Canceled because of our 45-minute delay in getting to shore in the morning and the fact that it was still raining. So because of those things, it was back on the bus and back to Dunleary. Well, how would I rate this particular excursion? Well, rather good, actually, with one major exception, and that was the inability to explore Howth. Personally, I think a short accommodation could have been made for those of us that were willing to brave the rain to explore what at least looked like on paper an interesting place. So how would I rate the value of this particular excursion? Well, high, because it was complimentary, so no cost involved. The accuracy of the tour description was pretty good, right up to the bitter end. All scheduled stops were made. The final stop was just not explored. Was the time allotted enough? Well, no, not the way it happened because of the tender delay and so forth. And how was our tour guide? Well, pretty good. He was a bit funny and very Irish and had some pretty good stories, so I rate him fairly highly. And the food on this outing? Well, very good. Our overall experience was good, even though mechanical and weather issues conspired against us. And would I recommend this to a friend? Well, yes, I would, considering a different day, a different time, and no mechanical or weather issues would give you a totally different experience. Back on the bus and back to the Silver Spirit we went and got ready for our sail away from the port of Dunleary. What's that I see? Could that be a rainbow? Is there a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow? I think I see something. Let's get the binoculars out. Yep, there it is, and no matter how I pleaded, the captain would not take me to that location. Well, with no pot of gold in hand and leaving Ireland, we caroused around a bit and got ready for our next port of call. Today's port of call was Greenock, Scotland. Sailing up the estuary, the Firth of Clyde, we eventually made it to the River of Clyde and Greenock, Scotland. Greenock is considered one of the gateway cities to Glasgow, Scotland. We had one excursion for the day, a Silversea Select excursion that would take us to the picturesque village of Luss.
Hello, welcome. Where are you from?
The tiny village of Luss, population around 450, is an environmentally friendly village and was once voted as Scotland's most lovely. Luss is definitely filled with charm and has a quaint village feel. We were there to take a look around, visit the graveyard of the local church, and take a hike after checking out the shores of Bonnie Loch Lomond. You, of course, have all heard the song. It goes something like, "You take the high road and I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland before you." If you look at the lyrics, it's a rather melancholy song and features the shores of Bonnie Loch Lomond in the lyrics. Eventually, we made our way to the parish church of Luss and took a look around the fascinating graveyard that surrounds the church. As the rain continued to fall, we explored the graveyard and found this. Among the other headstones, a Viking hogsback stone that was believed to have been placed in Luss after a Viking raid in 1263. It was apparently fully restored after we had been there, and now the ancient carvings of the Vikings can clearly be seen. Leaving the church grounds, it was a short walk to the beginning of our hike along the Luss River, sometimes called Luss Water. I'm going to pipe down now and let you enjoy our walk along the Luss Water. The trail had some interesting features, such as trolls, beautiful meadows, and even eventually, unicorns. And the trail ended near here, what I would call a totem pole, before dumping us off in town again. Once in town, we continued our exploration of Luss once more, past gardens of Buddhas and gnomes, beautiful flowers, and very interesting homes. After wandering about a bit, it was time to head back to the bus stop. And now I'm going to give you a bit of a travel tip. If you're going to Luss, be sure to take a few 50-pence coins with you. If you need to use the public restrooms, you will need to buy your way in. Conveniently, you can use your credit card, MasterCard and Visa only please, at the contactless credit card reader and turnstile standing guard at the entrance of the restrooms. Or, alternately, you can stop for a coffee or a pint of ale in the pub, which will set you back about £10 sterling, and you can use their toilet for no additional charge. And with that adventure behind us, it was time to hit the road again, passing through the beautiful and eye-achingly green Scottish countryside. Back into the city of Greenock, and safely back to the Silver Spirit. Well, how did we find this excursion? Well, actually, it was pretty good. Only one small rub as far as we're concerned, and I'll get to that right at the end of this. So it was a select excursion, and we paid $129 per person. Considering where we went and what we saw, that was not a bad price. The accuracy of the tour description seemed to be pretty good. All scheduled stops were made, and the time allotted seemed to be, well, enough. Our tour guide was a delight. Friendly, knowledgeable, and led us all in the right directions at the right times. There was no food involved, so nothing to rate there. The overall experience, I'd have to say, was very good. It was a beautiful trip. And would I recommend this to a friend? Why, sure I would. The only rub, as it was the idea that we paid for this excursion and then had to pay 50 pence or half a pound to use a bathroom. To me, we would have all felt much better if a few 50 pence pieces or tokens or whatever were handed out to each guest to use as they needed. Oh well, it seemed more of an inconvenience than anything else, so c'est la vie. Back on board the Silver Spirit, we frittered away the afternoon and enjoyed the sail away from Greenock, cruising down the River Clyde and then the Firth of Clyde, enjoying the stunning landscapes of Scotland slipping by. And after dinner tonight, we enjoyed a show in the Venetian Lounge called A Kaleidoscope of Classics, presented by the Silver Sea Dancers and Singers. And it was pretty much as you would imagine, with divas and dancing. And a later appearance by Elvis. With that, it was time for bed and to get ready for the next day, which would be a leisurely day at sea and another formal optional night. And as usual, on a day at sea, it's a good thing to look at the chronicles and peruse the many things to do, as well as check out the opening and closing times for the various venues. One of the activities I wanted to attend was a cooking demonstration by Executive Chef Grant and Head Sommelier Norman. Chef would be preparing such interesting things like honey spiced duck, sautéed shrimp with vanilla sauce, and sweet and sour cabbage. And our sommelier, Norman, would be offering up a wine pairing with each dish.
Jump for one, and then I'll jump onto the other. So if you have any questions during it, feel free to ask. And I'll explain
it
about
was an interesting multimedia demonstration, with Chef talking us through it, and our AV folks throwing an overhead camera shot up on the screens at either side of the stage.
And the reason is, if you want to come up and ask any questions, feel free. I'll be here cleaning up for a little bit.
An interesting and well worthwhile presentation. Thank you, Chef.
40 minutes, I done pretty well. 2 dishes. I was lucky somebody cut everything for me already. It's good if you have somebody.
Later on, after changing for dinner, it was time for a cocktail reception for the Venetian Society members. And after running the gauntlet of butlers, we made a grand entrance into the Venetian Lounge to thunderous applause. Well, applause nonetheless. And after that warm greeting, it was time to sit for a while, have a drink, and listen to speeches.
How has been your day today? Relaxing? You charge battery for tomorrow.
And after the speeches were done and the awards presented, it was time to, well, go to dinner. Tonight, dinner would once again be at Atlantide, overall our favorite dining venue aboard the Silver Spirit. More on Atlantide and all of the other dining venues in our upcoming dining and drinking guide. Although I must mention, Song found her new favorite dessert, a chestnut Mont Blanc. And after a bit more carousing around, it was time to get ready for the next day's port of call, Stornoway, Scotland, on the Isle of Lewis. Stornoway, the largest city on the Isle of Lewis, has a population of around 7,000, while the entire population of the Isle of Lewis is somewhere around 18,000. We decided to start our day with a trip on the shuttle bus to downtown Stornoway. It was a Tuesday morning and there was absolutely nothing going on. Only a few people out and about. So we decided just to walk about the town to see what was going on. We checked out the small harbor with the castle, quote unquote, across the way. A lone seal standing guard over the harbor. With Castle Lewes high on the hill and overlooking the city. What's that I spy with my little eye? Well, that could be a bridge over to the castle. So we decided to hoof it that way, passing this odd-looking fellow and what looks to be an actual house inside a turret-like building. And getting closer, we found that this was indeed a bridge into the area in which the castle resides. The castle, today a hotel, was built by a man named James Matheson. Sir James was an interesting man who built the castle after buying the entire Isle of Lewis in 1849 for the then astounding amount of £190,000. We made our way up the hill and closer to Castle Lewes, I thought it might be time for a little bit more about James Matheson. Matheson was a man of the times. His considerable wealth came from the notorious opium trade in China, but he used that wealth in his homeland to create jobs, fund famine relief, and provided funding for a host of other social and economic programs benefiting the island's population. In fact, by 1850, only 6 years after he had bought the Isle of Lewis, he had spent an additional £329,000 to the benefit of the local area, and then another £200,000 in the subsequent 30 years of his ownership. Today, the castle that is not really a castle is a hotel, and the manicured grounds contain not only the hotel, but restaurants and even a museum. Now in this picture, you can see our ship parked across the harbor in what's called the Deepwater Port. If we had time, we could have actually walked back to the ship along the path marked here. But not knowing if we could actually do that and not having the time because we did have a scheduled excursion in the afternoon, we just made our way back into Stornoway, walked about, looking at the sights, and marveling at the fact that there seemed to be very few people out and about in this town of 7,000. Past the main shopping area, public buildings, in tiny squares, we wandered. Eventually, it was time to find our bus stop, hang around a bit waiting for the bus to come. Here's our queen and her knight errant. And then the bus did show up. We hopped on board and made our way back to the Silver Spirit. And after a quick lunch, it was time for our excursion, this time taking us to Ancient Lewis. This was another Silver Sea Select excursion costing us $149 per head and took us past many of the peat fields where there is still peat being harvested, and past rocky fields and a desolate landscape where the only residents were sheep. Time we were supposed to visit here, the standing stones of the Isle of Lewis. Having been erected around 2900 BC, the standing stones are, well, old and may well have been worth a visit. But sorry, no buses allowed. We were sent 3 messages by the excursion team saying, sorry, the bus cannot stop there anymore, and instead you will be going to a different site. Now, this was a bone of contention for some of the guests, but more on that later. So instead, we first stopped here at Stornoway. This is a remnant of a fortified residence built around 200 BC and possibly used all the way up to 1500 AD. Right now there are some residents in the area, but mostly the residents are sheep. A little walk up the hill and we were there, looking at this still impressive structure. This type of building is called a brooch and would have housed a family or clan, and is built to house animals on the ground floor with 2 floors above for the humans. It is perched on a very defensible position, overlooking the landscape and the waters below. You can enter the brooch. Here's me struggling to do that. And here's why it was a struggle. There are actually still stairs inside of the brooch that you can access, walk up, and take a few pictures. Our guide explained how things might have been back in the day while living in the brooch. As I said earlier, when still in good shape, this dry mortar building would have been capped with a thatch roof and been 3 stories, with the animals on the first floor and the humans on the second and third floor. All of the doorways, both entering and inside the brooch, would be this high to force an enemy to bend over to enter, thus exposing their head to any handy claymore, stick, or rock that the residents might have had at hand. That really made it important for everyone to announce loudly upon entry, "Honey, I'm home." And yes, it's just as hard to get out of this thing as to get in it. Looking around the landscape, you can easily see where the building materials for the brooch and fences came from. Stornoway behind, we headed off to our final stop, Gijon, or the Black House Village. The Black House Village was built in the late 1800s by the local crofters, or the people actually working the land. The village was actually occupied all the way until around 1974, when the last residents moved into more modern housing nearby. Because of the historical significance of the village, Restorations is in much the same state as it was in the 1800s. The rooms are largest for the period, and the fireplaces are fired with peat. The walls are all dry masonry, hand-fitted together, and the roofs are all thatch, weighted down with ropes and stones to prevent the roofs from being blown away in the high winds. And while no one actually lives here now, you can rent out rooms in 3 of the cottages and party like it's 1799. The black houses are truly set on a beautiful site overlooking a small natural harbor. Site with plenty of interesting things to see and experience. Well, after that, it was back on the bus, and away we went, headed toward the Silver Spirit. So how was the ancient Lewis excursion? Well, to me it was good. I at least looked at the notices saying that we would not be stopping at the Standing Stone Circle, and while disappointed, understood it wasn't going to happen. The added stop at Stornoway was a fairly good substitute. So as far as value, I rate it fairly well, but since things changed, I'm only giving it 2 stars. Accuracy of the tour description, as far as the last published edition, was accurate. Were all scheduled stops made? Well, yes, they were, according to the latest edition of the published excursion itinerary. Was the time allotted enough? Yes, it was. Our tour guide was good, and I enjoyed listening to his stories and was very happy with his performance, as the stories never got in the way of the actual sightseeing. There was no food involved, so nothing to rate there. Overall experience, I actually rate it pretty good. These were interesting spots that I never would have found on my own. And would I recommend this particular excursion to a friend? Well, yes, I would, with some reservations. Those reservations would be, are you actually getting the tour you were expecting? And now for the bone of contention. Some folks either did not see the warning that we would not be stopping at the Standing Stones, or they ignored it, or whatever. But they complained they did not get the excursion that they wanted. And based on that complaint and that expectation, Silversea did a partial refund on this excursion. So final judgment with the refund, I was happy enough and thought it turned out well. And once more back on the Silver Spirit, it was time to hit the Arts Cafe for a bit of lemon pie and hot chocolate. Then it was time for a beautiful sail away from the Isle of Lewis. Later on that evening, it was dinner time once more, and once more it was at Atlantide. Stay tuned for our upcoming dining and drinking guide, where we talk about Atlantide and all of the other dining and drinking venues aboard the Silver Spirit. After dinner at 9:30, we attended the show in the Venetian Lounge, The Magic of the Violin, presented by headliner Michael Bacala, a very talented and entertaining musician. Well, with that, it was time for bed and get ready for the next part of our voyage. Stay tuned for part 7 coming soon. And as always, thank you for watching. Please do me a solid and like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be kept up to date with new videos as they release. Check out my website, tomsmultiinterest.com, and stay tuned for more. Part 7 of 8 is on the way, so please join us as we give you more of Scotland. Thank you again for watching, and as always, safe and happy travels from T's Cruise and Travel Muse.